in trouble with co-hosts. All right, we're live now. Let me just send out the link and we'll be good to go. All right. Yep, I want to see that. Yep,
you send me the link text.
What?
Can you send me a link to this live stream so I can?
Yeah, I'll text it to you. That's good because it allows me to copy it right from the message.
Still waiting. Send it to Pete Ski.
Got our number one fan on?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, let me. All right, that's okay. No people watching. That's fine. That's cool.
Right. He'll be here soon.
Good. All right. Let me just post this on the Twitter, and then I'll post it on Facebook, and we'll be good to go.
Oh yeah.
All right, that tweet is sent.
I forgot about Julio Lugo.
Well, Oliver, you'll be pleased to know that, as you can see, was a tie, but the fact that you reserved like 4 spots on your roster for Stephen Drew alone, that was the reason that broke the tie. So.
I fucking hate Stephen Drew so much. So fucking much.
Stephen Drew, yeah, he's.
But I also hate John Farrell for his love of Stephen Drew.
John Farrell loved 2 things in this life: Stephen Drew and Chris Young, and that was it.
He loves stunting growths of his prospects.
It's also true. He did love that. All right. Those have been tweeted out, so we can just get right to business here. All right. 3, 2. Welcome in Crossing State Lines, episode 167. I am Jake, joined as always by my co-host with the co-most, Stonham's best, Stonham's finest, Stonham Hall of Famer, Dave Albiani. Dave, what's up?
Not much. I think we're all winners today. The Red Sox are playing, so everyone got spared that atrocity.
That is true. They are. I will say they're not playing for a good cause, which is at least that's good. So
They are, but also we benefit because no one has to watch them.
fair enough.
It's
That's
true.
fair.
Everybody.
But we're going to be talking about some truly terrible Red Sox players today. As you can read in the description, we are talking about the all-worst Red Sox team of our lifetime. I'll get into a little bit more of how we did that, but first let's introduce our guests. We have Steve Scott and Oliver Martel, the co-hosts of Small State Big Takes. Fellas, welcome in.
Yo, thanks for having us once again. Crossing state lines, Oliver's ass. I don't know why, but I'm gonna
You're gonna what?
kick your ass tonight.
And what?
There's no way to win, Steve.
Yeah, it's not a competition, bro.
No, it doesn't matter.
Steve is going to take Oliver down in the discussion of Julio Lugo versus Stephen Drew, apparently.
Yep.
That is a little bit of a preview. So the way we did this was one of the more ambitious episodes. We all ranked, like, by position, our least favorite or worst Red Sox of our lifetime. So dating back to, like, the early 90s, pretty much. Not a lot of those guys made the end-up roster, so maybe a little bit of recency bias, but whatever. These guys suck anyway. So we did that. Everybody sent me their rosters. I put together the first, second, and third team. We're only going to go deep into the first team. I'll announce the second and third at the end. We don't have to talk about those that much. But the first team, we will go through player by player, position by position. So with that being said, we might as well just dive right in. Peter, what is good is indeed. We're just talking a little bit Red Sox. That's all I can.
Hey, Petey.
Say right now. But thank you for joining us. So let's just start. Do you guys want to start off with the manager or the DH?
Sure.
Manager league. Wait, sure.
It's not an answer.
That wasn't an option.
Manager for sure. Oh, sorry.
Manager or DH? I think manager.
All right, well,
Manager.
it's a good place to start because there were only 2 people on the entire list who were unanimous first rank selections. 2 guys, and one of them is our manager. All 4 of us had Bobby Valentine as the manager of the all-worst first team in at least of our lifetimes. It wasn't even close. Like, Ron Renicky is a bad manager, but at least it seems like they respect him as players. I don't think anybody respected Bobby Valentine at all in that locker room or in that clubhouse.
Yeah, 2012 was probably the worst year of baseball ever, in my opinion. Other than this year, of course. But Bobby Valentine, oh my God. I wanted to cry every day when I was watching him. screw Bobby Valentine.
Unfortunately, he was so bad it's not a competition. But if you take him out of it, I mean, I think it's Farrell by a landslide. Even like before we even really started paying attention to baseball, like in the '90s and shit. Like Farrell lucked. I say lucked, but like I guess he managed well in 2013, and he tried to just do the same system for the next however many years he was here, when he had significantly better talent.
Mhm.
And it just fucked up everybody.
True.
And I fucking hate him.
I get that. I get the Farrell thing. I was never his biggest fan. I was pretty much, as soon as 2014 got underway and they were not looking good, I was like, I think 2013 was just an aberration. Like, it was lightning in a bottle. The guys just got hot at the right time, like pretty much the whole last half of the season, and they looked really good. And
They were so clutch.
I don't think
That
it
was the
had much.
difference.
It didn't have anything really to do with John Farrell. It was kind of the antithesis of Alex Cora, where like they won despite the decisions he made, and it wasn't fun watching him manage. And then the fact that he just wouldn't play anybody but Chris Young in the last couple of years of it, like he was playing Chris Young in all 9 positions in like the last year he was here. But I don't like him. But I don't even with how bad John Farrell is, he at least did win a World Series, and at least I think they respected him to a degree. Bobby Valentine was none of those things. He was an abject failure from the time they threw the first pitch opening day.
I'm a big fan of Kevin Youkilis. Valentine, for whatever reason, hated him, and that really bothered me. And then you went to town as a result. Bobby Valentine ruined that. He ruined Adrian Gonzalez. Not that, I mean, it wasn't really his fault in the first place, but I mean, you know what? He was put there as a scapegoat. I still believe that's my conspiracy about Bobby Valentine. I think that Red Sox ownership wanted to blow whatever that was going on there up, and they just want to throw in the worst manager possible. They put Bobby in there, and then it just went to shit as planned. When they wanted to, they got they were able to trade Carl Crawford, able to trade Nick Punto. Oh, no, we got Nick Punto, didn't we?
Yeah, we'll get to Nick Punto in just a little bit. Don't worry about that.
It doesn't seem very Red Sox ownership like to scapegoat a manager. They've never done that before.
No, not at all. I don't know what you're talking. They've only done that with like the past
every single manager that they've had since 2000.
Yeah, pretty much. That's not wrong. But Dave, obviously, if we all had Bobby Valentine first, that means you did as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, think about it like this. Steve already mentioned it. What's the best way to make sure that your players hate you is attack one of the best players in your team that plays the hardest. He comes in and attacks Kevin Youkilis. Like he thinks he runs the show. Like, oh, I'm going to show these guys who's boss. And all the players are like, you suck. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. It's the same guy that was was the Mets manager and got ejected and came back wearing a mustache and glasses. Like he was going to fool guys. Like
that was kind of funny, though, Dave.
It was funny, but he's probably the dumbest human being to ever manage a game.
I don't know. Ted Turner did once manage a game for the Braves.
I don't know who that. Who is
that? Take Ted Turner.
Ted Turner is the guy who like made CNN and like owns Turner Broadcasting.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and then like for 2 games he managed the Braves.
I mean, Bobby Valentine thought Franklin Morales was his ace. So, I don't know. I think Ted Turner is probably better.
Wow. There is no way to defend Bobby Valentine. That roster was not well composed, as we'll get into. There were some guys on that roster who really, really sucked. But Bobby Valentine, consensus worst manager, and that means he has to be managing this team. So right off the bat, we're starting off poorly.
But all that being said, just real quick, my favorite Bobby Valentine fun fact: he invented the rap. It's always wild to me.
The wrap, like
when you go to a sandwich store and you get a wrap.
Okay.
Bobby Valentine invented that.
Now all I can think of is him doing like.
Or he invented defining it as a sandwich or something like that, like regulating it, something along those lines. I just think that's funny.
Should have quit right there.
He should have quit when he was ahead. You're right.
Never managed a game ever again. So we'll move to DH. So the way DH works is that it was the highest point getter who did not qualify for a position on the team, and it was an outfielder. Steve, you can shield your eyes if you want, or you can mute us for the next couple minutes, but it is Rusney Castillo. Rusney Castillo, as Sean Clayton said last night, I think he said it off the air, but Rusney Castillo, really good in the minors. but he has never been able to succeed at the major league level. Never really given much of a chance to succeed up here. And they gave him a pretty hefty contract. Was it 7 for 72? Is that what it was?
Something like that.
Yeah. And then
Something absurd, yeah.
And Rodney Castillo, let's just pull up his major league stats. I got him right here for us if this page ever loads. So Rodney Castillo has played in 99 games for the Red Sox. He's at 262. That's all right. 7 home runs, 35 RBIs, and 647 OPS. Not great for the money you paid. The most games he played was 2015. He played in 80 games, and that was really the most of the games he's played. And he's never really looked like the guy that they went for. So I feel like he's
starting to hear. I can't believe he played that many games. 80 games, damn.
Also, those numbers are better than I remember. 7 home runs in 80 games.
Yeah, that's so
He's
bad.
Benintendi.
Yeah.
Benintendi. A couple of bad years away from making the list.
Yeah, but I also think Castillo is more of a problem because he made so much money. The Red Sox mismanaged the money that they couldn't even bring him up because he got on luxury tax. That's the only reason he didn't come up all these years, because they've had spots for him where he's been hitting over 300 in the minors or 290. He could have come up and probably hit 280 or 270 up here. They just didn't want to spend the money. So I think it's more of a case of, like, was he a great player? No. Was he worth the money? Probably not. But I think he could have easily hit 270. That's better than most of the guys we have on our list.
I agree.
Well, that's why he's the DH.
Yeah.
I think played Major League Baseball that he just got mismanaged.
That was a Charrington thing, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
He was so hyped coming out of Cuba.
He was. I didn't realize how old he was, though. He was like 27 when they signed him or something like that.
He was 26 when he made his major league debut. Yeah.
So probably 25, 26 when they signed him. That's old for a Cuban prospect.
Is it? No, Yuli Gurriel came over here at like 28.
Then that's old.
Yeah,
that is kind of old.
He's been good for the last 8 years. Yuli.
5'9", 207. Wow.
Yuli?
He's ripped, too. Castillo's ripped.
And he smells good.
That is true. The stories are true, apparently, that he did smell good.
Straight from the source, Pat Light himself and us.
Yeah.
Pat Light, who will be getting a shout out much later in this episode.
I had to have him on here.
And thanks to Oliver alone, Pat Light made the third team All-Worst Red Sox squad.
I can't believe you guys didn't even consider him. He was so bad.
I considered him, but there are just guys that
Who did they
I
trade
love
him
the
for?
guy.
What lefty did they trade him for? Fernando Abad, right?
Yeah. He was also bad.
He wasn't good
either.
The worst. Fernando Abad was the worst.
too.
But John Farrell fucking loved him.
Was he with us for a playoff run, Abad?
Maybe the first one in, 16? He might have been on the team then.
When they got swept the first time before they got swept?
The first sweep.
The Indian sweep, because that was Poppy's last year, right?
Yeah, that was when Benintendi was actually good.
Many moons ago.
And when Mancada sucked. Remember he set the record for most strikeouts in a row?
Yeah.
It was like 20 or something.
It was something insane.
And they still I almost passed out at the wheel of my car when Josh was considering on your episode this week to redo that trade without not get Chris Sale.
Oh my god. He's just fucking loves Moncada so much.
I'm like, dude,
He
I get
always
that.
has.
I get it. I sympathize, but at the same time, like, you're not going to win
World Series
if you don't make that trade. So, but we'll off the path there. But anyway, so that's Rodney Castillo. He's our DH. Moving on to catcher. So catcher was a blowout. It wasn't even close. This guy got 27 points. The next closest was 9. So our all-worst first-team catcher is A.J. Pierzynski, who played in only 70 games for the Red Sox back in 2014. He racked up a 254 average, hit just 4 home runs, 31 RBIs, and he struck out 40 times. He only played 72 games here. I'm trying to figure out what actually happened to him, if they cut him or traded him. Not sure what value he had, but I'm trying to scroll down and find out here. What transactions, 2014. They released him on July 16th. So things didn't go great for A.J. Pierzynski in Boston, and he deserves to be on this list.
Yeah, A.J., that was a terrible signing to begin with. I remember, really? It's going to be one of those kind of years. Dirtbag catching. And then I remember about him, too, that year was Derek Jeter. It was Jeter's last year, and they had the salute to number 2 commercial, and it was like John tipping his cap, and then like Percy was like Jeter their respect or whatever, like tip his little freaking catcher thing, and then, like everybody's tipping their cap and stuff. I was like, how was Percy Red Sox catcher representative in this commercial race team? And then Lester ends up getting traded that year. What a dumpster fire! It was a terrible mark on the Red Sox station.
Yeah, Pierzynski just rough, man. He was no fun to watch. He was way past his prime when they signed him. He was like 37 when he played for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Ollie, you had him first. I had him. I think I also had him first. Dave, you inexplicably did not have him on your list.
Whoa! Explain yourself, Dave.
He was bad, but there's a lot of bad catchers on this list. Kevin Cash was awful. Ryan Hannigan got into fights, and they had to trade him for like a bag of baseballs. And Ryan Mavarnway was this big prospect who couldn't play defense and then couldn't hit in the majors. So they're all. At least Pierzynski hit like 260.
He was a fucking cancer, though. That's why I put him on there. Everybody in the clubhouse absolutely hated that guy.
Everywhere
and I hated him.
Fuck, what was I gonna say about I also on my list Kelly Shopik. That was just straight personal. I couldn't stand that dude. Anytime he came to the plate, I'm like, this dude's not gonna do anything. Like he's just an automatic out. Like you might as well say infield in. Like that's what was gonna happen.
I think Kelly Shopik was the guy that when the Red Sox were talking about trading him to the Mets, they asked for DeGrom at first when he was in the minors.
Maybe they should have pulled the trigger on that.
Because DeGrom had just had Tommy John. And they're like, oh, give us DeGrom, we'll give you Kelly Shopik. And the Mets are like, are you kidding me? Not even if he had no arms would I give you Jacob DeGrom for Kelly Shopik.
Not even the Mets. And they're stupid.
It's true.
Steve, can you do me a big favor?
Yeah.
Could you change that screen name?
I didn't even realize it.
Oh, sorry.
It works on 2 levels too. And that's better. That's better. Thank you. All right. So AJ Pierzynski, the catcher for our all-worst team. So first off, before we move on, actually, it was Dave's turn to get dragged that time. Now it's Steve's turn to get dragged. For speaking of inexplicable, one of our fourth highest vote getter, our first baseman. He was first for me, Dave, and Ollie. Steve put him, I believe, second. He was not first. I couldn't believe it. Alan Craig, our first baseman for the all-worst first team. Steve, James Loney.
Dude, you hate James Loney so much.
I have a problem. I don't know what it is. Well, he represented to the Red Sox at that time of like failure of ownership and everything. He was the lone guy we got back for. We got Ivan DeJesus and Ruby De La Rosa, guys that didn't amount to shit. Alan Webster, whatever.
About Ruby.
Loney comes up and he's like the guy to like finish out the year, whatever year that was. 2012, Bobby Valentine year. That really bothered me that year. And James, thanks for the guy. Did nothing for us. Get out of here.
Look, I respect that, but there are fewer dumpster fires bigger in Red Sox 21st century history than Alan Craig. Alan Craig, in 2014, when he was traded to the Red Sox, appeared in 29 games. He hit 128.
It's pretty bad.
And then in 2015, played in 36 games, hit 152. His career numbers with the Red Sox, 139, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. This guy, the year before getting traded to Boston, received MVP votes and was an all-star. And then he comes to Boston, and it was like Space Jam happened. He had all of his like talent sucked out of him. And then he looked like someone who's never picked up a bat before. It was unbelievable how bad he looked. He was unplayable. That's why he went to Pawtucket for like 3 years. He's unplayable.
Yeah, his inexplicable fall off will never make sense. I don't know. He should be number one, but James Loney just takes the cake.
Well, I know Dave and Oliver at least do agree with me. I know that.
Yeah, he's just so bad. The only bright spot about him is that Joe Kelly came along with him.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while there, we didn't really know what Joe Kelly was going to be. And he turned out to be kind of exactly what you expected. He was either fucking nasty or goddamn just a monstrosity.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't regret the trade because it was John Lackey going into a 1-year contract where he said he wouldn't play for the Red Sox for the minimum. So they were just like, all right, well, we got to get something. And at least they got Joe Kelly out of it, I guess. But Alan Craig was so fucking bad.
Yeah, he was. And just quickly on James Loney, played in 30 games for the Red Sox. He had 230, had 2 home runs, 8 RBIs. 230 still way better than 152 or 186. So not great. I could say if you want to put him in your top 3, it's fine. But, I mean, I feel like Alan Craig, to me, Dave, he is the consensus number 1.
Yeah, Alan Craig is one of the worst players I've ever seen hit for the Red Sox. I mean, he had no speed. He couldn't really make great contact with the ball. He had no power. And he wasn't really great defensively, and he couldn't really stay healthy. I mean, other than that, he was a great player. But yeah, it's other than that, he had a lot of ability and talent at that point. But what else is there that he provides? He was in AAA for 3 years, making $14 million a year.
I mean, that's like
ticket sales.
Yeah, people were coming to say we're filling the stands for Alan Craig.
Yep.
Everybody loved that Alan Craig. Everybody.
I just want to put this out there too. John Olerud was pissed off for the Red Sox. So you know what? John Olerud one last time.
At least he wore his helmet at first base, though. That was interesting.
Steve's hatred for John Olerud and James Loney, I don't understand. But that being said, moving on to our second baseman. This was pretty overwhelmingly the first overall pick. It wasn't really close. He doubled up the second closest guy. That is Nick Punto. Speaking of guys the Red Sox got in 2012, Nick Punto played in 65 games for the Red Sox, and he had 200 for them. That's pretty bad. 65 games, he only scored 14 runs, only had 25 hits, only a homer. And not like he was known for his power anyway. He only hit 4 home runs, the most in the season. But he was just incredibly, and there weren't a lot of second basemen to pick from on this list.
Thanks, Petey.
Yeah, that's right. Besides Petey, if it was the last 5 years, Petey might
Oh, I said thank you, Petey.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, thank you,
for
Petey,
making this position difficult.
Yes, that is true. So that's why it was difficult. But Nick Punto, when he did get to play, was not good for the Red Sox. Pretty bad, actually.
Nick Punto. Yeah, you know what? I didn't realize how bad Nick Punto actually was. And I never with Nick Punto, but I just know he was bad after looking at his stats. And I was like, you know what? He's my number 1 because I may not like having play there. Another result of that terrible in Red Sox history was a really low point. And, yeah, Nick.
I think Steve is connected to a potato right now.
Yeah, Steve, your Wi-Fi is not great.
You guys sound fine.
No, it's you're chopping up on
that spiel especially. You were chopping in and out quite a bit.
If you want to disconnect and reconnect while we're vamping, you can certainly try.
All right.
So we'll vamp for a few minutes about Nick Punto, which is extremely tough to do because there's not much to talk about when it comes to Nick Punto. He did play for 6 teams somehow, and he was in the league for 14 years. He never hit. He had 1 year. He had 284. And the year before he came to Boston, he had 278 for the Cardinals. Apparently, he was on the Cardinals when they won the World Series. I didn't know that. And then he came to us, and he decided just not to play well. Then he went to the Dodgers and hit 286 when they got him at the deadline. So, yeah. Nick Punto decided just not to play for the Red Sox, but when it came to the Dodgers, he decided to give a shit.
The only thing I remember about Nick Punto at all is that wasn't he the first one to wear 5 after Nomar?
That sounds correct.
I think he was. That's the only thing I remember about this guy at all. I don't even know if I had him on my list because I forget that he was on the Red Sox so much.
You didn't have him on your list for a reason we'll get to in just a couple.
Yeah.
We will get to that. Don't worry. But while
Basically, I don't even remember James Loney either. I was going to tell that to Steve, but like that 2012 team, really, I do not remember much about it. I think I've just done a very good job of putting it in the vault.
You don't remember it, dude? That was a really tough time for me to be a Red Sox. Like I mean, I've been hard, but that year, I don't know why I was so obsessed with the Sox at that time, and then I was really let down. The first time I was like heartbroken by the Sox at age 20 or whatever I was, 19.
Well, fellas, we're about to get to we're going to go back to back on a couple of our favorite discussion topics now in terms of players. We'll start at third base. We'll go with the natural order of how the positions are numbered. So we'll start at third base. The only other unanimous number one for all four of us. I feel like there isn't a way to introduce this other than Pablo Sandoval. Yeah, it's Pablo Sandoval signed with the Red Sox in 2015. His first year in Boston, he hit .245, 10 home runs, 47 RBIs. That was his lowest since his rookie season in either of those stats. Forget about the .245 batting average, which also was his lowest since 2010. He was incredibly underwhelming. He played 126 games, and it was obvious that the Red Sox did this pretty much from a marketing perspective, that they wanted to bring the Panda here and get all the merchandise out because the Panda was in Boston. And then the Panda apparently stopped caring about baseball because he didn't play well ever again.
Yeah, I remember that day where it was like Pablo, and it was like, this kind of good, but like Hanley's going to be playing left field, and like Pablo's going to be there. It's going to be kind of like a heavier kind of power-centric team, I guess. I don't know what's happening. And then Pablo, like, you immediately, the moment you saw him, you knew he was not invested. Like, at least Hanley was trying, even though he sucked at first. But, man, I don't know. Pablo was the biggest Pablo, big take, biggest loser to ever play for the Red Sox. Guy was a straight-up loser.
I got somebody coming down the line that fit that bill better, but we'll let Ollie and Dave say their piece.
I don't think there's much to talk about. He was just fucking terrible. The only thing you need to talk about him is like the one thing you can mention is his belt buckle breaking on a swing, and that pretty much sums it up.
Well, then there was the time he got caught liking Instagram photos, taking a piss during the game.
That's kind of when Carabas blew up because he's the one that reported it.
Yeah,
and tweeted it out, and ever since then, first, maybe Carabas has Pablo to thank for where he is now. Who knows where he'd be if that never blew up?
That's true.
So then Pablo in 2016 only played in 3 games. He did not get a hit in any of those games. 2017 was when they dealt him to the Giants. He only played in 32 games for the Red Sox. He hit .212, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. Not good. A very, very poor contract for the Red Sox, and one they were paying for a long time after that. Are they still paying that contract, or is that contract?
No, last year was the last year.
Thank God. Well, that contract's now up. Thank God for the Red Sox. Yeah, Pablo Sandoval. Dave, do you have anything that hasn't been said already?
I would just say that he was absolutely worthless, and he came here because it was short-sighted by the management to not put a weight clause in his contract. That's why he didn't go back to the Giants, and it bit him in the ass, and they ended up paying him all the money anyway, and he went back to the Giants still.
Pablo Sandoval, our unanimous third base selection for the first team.
Oh.
And while one of them was unanimous, shortstop was not. Shortstop was about as split down the middle as it gets. Both these guys received 24 points, but the guy that made the first team because Oliver's disdain for him is so strong that he left a couple of his spots open just to put him in them. Which technically isn't legal by the rules of this, but who gives a shit, because he was my number one anyway. Stephen Drew is our shortstop. So this might provoke a little bit of a squabble here, because Oliver and I had him number one. Steve and Dave had Julio Lugo number one. I get that. Julio Lugo sucked. He was not very good, but Stephen Drew was a great defensive shortstop. Julio Lugo was a bad defensive shortstop. But I think the gulf between them offensively is wider than the gulf between them defensively. Because Julio Lugo could actually hit a baseball to a place where there weren't people. Stephen Drew, when he could hit a baseball, didn't do that because he was terrible. Stephen Drew was one of the worst hitters I've ever seen play for the Red Sox, bar none. One of the worst hitters I've ever seen play for the Red Sox. He was awful to watch hit. He was an automatic out anytime he stepped to the plate.
Stephen Drew, honestly, my hatred for him, he's close to being my number one. Really, I just couldn't stand Julio that much, and I had to have him number one. But Stephen Drew, his legacy to me, not only not it, but he was re-signed for no good reason when we had Xander ready to go. And they moved Xander over to third briefly. It almost messed up Xander's development as a shortstop.
It most definitely did mess it up.
It messed it up at the time, yeah. But, luckily, he snapped out of it. Luckily, he was, he didn't pull a Garen Cicchini or whatever, or it was completely freaking Xander was, almost messed up a generational shortstop. You know what? Stephen Drew, that guy can completely.
All right, we got about half of that rant in.
We got most of the beginning of it. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at Stephen Drew's postseason stats in 2013.
He had a home run in Game 6, didn't he?
Once the game was already out of hand.
Yeah. It was a nice little insurance. Oh, thanks, guy.
Stephen Drew in the series against the Rays was 2 of 15. That's a 133 batting average. Against the Tigers, he was 1 for 20.
Bad.
He struck out 10 times. Yes, I get they had a great rotation, but Stephen Drew was helpless. And then against the Cardinals, he really lit it up. He had 158, struck out 7 times, did have that home run Oliver mentioned, and had 3 hits overall. So that would be a grand total of, 6 hits in 54 at-bats. Doing the math in my head, that's not good.
No, not good.
Not good at all. Again, very good defensive shortstop. Very good. But like you said, A, he could have ruined Xander Bogaerts' growth at shortstop instead of just stunting it. And B, he was unwatchable to play. He did hit 253 in the regular season in 2013, but overwhelmingly, he was an unwatchable shortstop at the plate.
Every time Stephen Drew came up to bat, I just walked away. He is so bad. I hate him so much. He's one of the few people that I honestly think if I ever came across him, first of all, I definitely would not recognize his face. But if he was like, yo, I'm Stephen Drew, I'd be like, dude, I fucking hate you so much.
That would be so rude to say.
I know, but it's true. He's one of the he might be he honestly, off the top of my head, he might be the only Red Sox player I'd ever say that to. I don't know.
You would never.
Okay. What?
Well, Oliver, let's test it because adding to the stream is Stephen Drew.
And it was also a combination of the fact John Farrell loved him so much for whatever reason. They definitely blew each other or something, bro. I don't understand why that ever happened. Why? First of all, why he even got there in the first place. Second of all, how we even came back was just mind-boggling. Yeah. It just made no sense. Why are you putting Xander at third? Dude, that drove me absolutely nuts, and they sucked anyway. Do you guys remember who they traded him for?
Stephen Drew. Was it? Kelly Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly Johnson, the only other player to play for every other AL East team, I think, besides Steve Pierce.
That's right. But Dave, why don't you speak your piece here? Because you also had Julio Lugo number 1, and Stephen Drew, I don't even think made your list.
That's disgraceful.
I thought I put him 2.
Stephen Drew?
Oh no, I put Renteria 2.
Yeah, you did.
I think Julio Lugo is worse because they brought him in to try to bring some offense, and he brought almost no offense, and was one of the worst defensive shortstops I've ever seen. He made 27 errors one year. I mean, if you're going to do one thing, you have to at least be good defensively, even if you don't hit. We saw that multiple years with Alex Gonzalez at shortstop. You can survive in the big leagues at shortstop or second base if you can play defense. If you can't hit and you can't play defense, where do you fit?
I'll tell you what, Julio Lugo hit a cool 237 in 2007. Dave.
But making $9 million a year, hitting 237, making 27 errors.
Hey, he hit 268 in 2008. That's better than Steven Drew. He did only play half the season, but
Steven Drew
still.
hit like 250 his first year with the Red Sox, or 240.
That's not 268 though.
He had more home runs.
I need to find his defensive stats. I need to see what his all right, standard fielding. Let's see. Errors. Here we go.
I don't remember Lugo being that bad. Didn't he get a bomb off Pedro in like the all-time or whatever it is game? What do you call alma mater game a couple years ago?
Oh, maybe. By the way, Dave, a gross mischaracterization. He made 19 errors in 2007.
That's awful.
I'll tell you what though.
Better than 27.
Mm-hmm.
It is better than 20. First of all,
400 strikeouts is better than 400 strikeouts.
It's a good point.
I mean, it's true though. It is.
It's a fact.
It's fact, Dave. Let's look at his postseason batting. I'll tell you what. How about this? How do you like this? Against the Rockies in the World Series, 385. Whew. You couldn't get him out. You couldn't get him out. 5 of 13. Come on.
He only had 13 at bats.
Dave, you know how many
only
times?
4 games.
Hey, Dave, you know how many times he struck out against the Rockies? 0.
How many times?
0 strikeouts. A 500 OBP in the World Series. I'll tell you what. You can't beat that. You just can't beat it. Unless you're Poppy in 2013, but you can't beat that.
Can you name a pitcher from that Rockies team?
Was it?
I don't think I can.
Jeff Francis, was he still on that team?
There you go.
Francis. Yeah, that was the Pedroia story, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like Jeff Francis walked past him or something and told him to get lost, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking tear you up."
Really?
Because he didn't know who Pedroia was. There's a story there somewhere. I don't remember what it was exactly.
That's why. Yeah, because the Rockies went on that crazy run to get to the World Series, and yeah, it was Jeff Francis. Aaron Cook, who we'll be talking about in just a few minutes. Josh Fogg, Jason Hirsch, Ubaldo Jimenez.
Ubaldo, there you go.
I knew that was around Ubaldo's breakout.
Their closer was Brian Fuentes.
Jesus, yeah. How did they make the World Series?
They caught fire at the right time, and then Jeff Francis. Jeff Francis went 17-9 that year, but his ERA was 4.22. But everybody on that starting staff had an ERA of 4. That was why they lost, because the Red Sox just hit bombs. Oh my God. Well, anyway, that's Steven Drew and Leo Lugo. Congratulations to Steven Drew. You're terrible. So moving to the outfield. Here are our 3 outfielders. We'll discuss them however you want to discuss them. Our outfielders: Carl Crawford, Mike Cameron, and Jeremy Giambi. Can't beat those guys.
Yeah, there's a bunch of losers right there. Crawford, oh my God. He was a detriment to the team, detriment financially. He hated Boston. He never wanted to come here, be a Red Sox. And when he did play here, he did not produce whatsoever. Offered one of the worst signings in baseball history and worst 10 years as a Red Sox. I would never do that contract over again. And I can't stand him. And as for Mike Cameron, he was he was, he sucked, but
he was pretty bad.
He was bad. He was bad, but he didn't hate it here. Mike Cameron, he is deserved. And
Carl Crawford in his only full season in Boston, really, because he only played 31 games in 2012 before they just said stop playing. He hit 255 in 2011. He had 18 stolen bases. 18. He had 47 the year before and 60 in 2009.
Yeah, it made no sense.
He was the year before he came to the Red Sox. He was 7th in the MVP voting. He was an All-Star, a Gold Glover, and a Silver Slugger. And then he comes to Boston and he hits like 50 percentage points lower. He steals a third of as many bases as he did before, and he looked disinterested. He didn't want to be in Boston, and it was a failure from the start.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember when my dad told me that they signed Carl Crawford, I was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely ecstatic because that's like around the time when I first started paying attention to like what free agency was, how players move around and all that shit. I don't know, it was like 12 maybe. What year they signed him?
2011.
I was 12? No, I wasn't. Jesus Christ. Anyways, I was so pumped, and he just was so bad. And as for Mike Cameron, the reason I had him on my list is it's not really Mike Cameron's fault, honestly. Just the fact he was on the team pushed Jacoby to left for some reason, and Jacoby wasn't in left field, he doesn't get hurt, and who knows what could have happened. Like, he could have had a 2-year head start. We just don't know. Maybe he's not as injury prone. He probably was, but that's the reason. And I loved Jacoby back in the day. My mom did too. So we had like a family grudge against Mike Cameron.
I used to have a Mike Cameron jersey somewhere. I don't know where they are. I don't know where it is now. Can you guys guess how many teams he played for in his career?
Oh, it was like 13, wasn't it?
It wasn't that many.
I thought he was like no. I'm thinking of
Matt Stairs.
Pitcher.
Thinking of your
right?
Your Twitch catcher, Matt Stairs.
Edwin Jackson was on like every team.
I'm waiting for that clip to be turned into a video, dude. That was electric.
That was great. That Matt Stairs homer was crazy. He played for 8 teams. Played for the White Sox, the Reds, the Mariners, the Mets, the Padres, the Brewers, the Red Sox, and the Marlins.
You know, I could have listened to that. I had him ready to go.
Steve, I'll make sure I put that in the next Jeopardy, so you have to remember it.
Okay.
But Mike Cameron, when he played for the Red Sox, he had 259 his first year. Only played in 48 games in 2010.
He was here more than 1 year.
He was there for a year and a half. They traded him at the deadline in 2011.
Wow.
Or they released him, whatever ended up happening there. But he ended up in Florida, and that was the last time he played. But in 2011, played 33 games, only hit 149, abysmal.
Not good.
And then they kicked him out of town. He was 37 when he signed here. So, I mean, it was the H.A. Przinsky of not really expecting much, but at least he wasn't an asshole. At least I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I think he was trying, but he just wasn't. He was over the hill at that point.
That's another thing that bugged me about him is, again, it wasn't really his fault, but why the fuck would they sign a 37-year-old Mike Cameron when you have a center fielder major league ready to go in Jacoby? I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me.
Dave, what do you got on either Crawford or Mike Cameron?
Who was the third one? Jeremy Giambi?
Giambi, yeah.
I don't remember much about him, but his stats here were so bad.
He hit like 154.
Yeah.
He finished out his career with us in 2003. It was the last year he played. He played 50 games at 197. Not good.
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
The worst
right.
thing about Crawford is he thought the fans were so mean to him, and the fans were actually pretty nice to him. They didn't boo him like almost at all until the very end of his career here. Like, they cheered him after almost everything because they're trying to boost his confidence, and the guy was such a baby. He was literally the most mentally soft player they've ever had on their team.
And I remember what Oliver was saying, I was psyched when they got him because it was like, oh my God, Carl Crawford, he's killed the Red Sox. It'll be great to have him. He brings so much to the table. And then he just it was immediate from the start that it wasn't going to work. And Giambi quickly, the year before he came to Boston, he had 20 home runs. He had 259. He had 919 OPS. That was a career high. So I could see why the Red Sox would take a chance on him. And then he just apparently didn't play well at all. And then that was the end of his career. So
you should have juiced up.
Just like, bro, should have juiced up.
Why not?
Well, if he juiced up, then he wouldn't have had a spot on this illustrious all-worst team.
The sad part is I think he did juice. I think he was just that bad.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's fair. If you get a chance, look up Jeremy Giambi and check out what his hair looks like now. It is an interesting
now?
Yes. Should be the first picture that comes up when you look up Jeremy Giambi.
Honestly, didn't even think that he would still be relevant enough to have that.
Whoa!
Oh my God! Oh my God!
What happened?
It looks like he got hit by a really strong gust of wind and it blew off his tooth head.
I want to see his career stats.
I like it.
All right, so Steve, while you're looking that up, let's get into the rotation.
I can't approve of this.
He had 20 home runs once, damn.
Let's dive into the rotation. So we'll start with the pitcher that got the most points, the highest votes out of anybody in the past almost 30 years. Our ace of this pitching staff is Ryan Weber.
That's shocking.
It definitely has some recency bias, but oh my
sure.
God, he's just been so bad.
He's really bad.
With literally no pressure either. I think that's why I put him on there. There's literally no pressure, no expectations at all this year. and he's still just absolutely abysmal, just so fucking bad.
He has no place starting in baseball games. None.
No, you throw 85. At least Greg Maddux threw 89, 90, and he's just throwing them down the middle. It's just batting practice.
I don't see the redeeming quality of having him on a baseball roster, and somehow he's still, pitching. I just don't get it. I just straight up don't get it.
He is 0-2 this year. He has an ERA of 6 flat. In 24 innings pitched, he's given up 26 hits, 16 runs, 6 homers, 11 walks to 11 strikeouts. And last year, he pitched in 40 2/3 innings, 5.09 ERA, 18 games. He only started 3. So he was a reliever last year. This time they said, you know what, we'll give him a chance to start some games. Ryan Weber is dog shit at both those things.
But the fact he has 11 strikeouts this year is mind-blowing. I for sure thought that was going to be like 4.
I think the worst thing of it all was when they asked Renicky, they're like, is Ryan Weber's spot in the rotation in trouble? And he's like, oh, well, I mean, I can't imagine it would be. I mean, there's not many guys that give us a better chance to win than Ryan. There's so many things wrong with that statement. Like, the fact that he feels like he can say that means the front office failed him so badly. But number 2, this guy needs real help if he thinks this guy can help him win a baseball game. He really needs help.
Renicky just does not give a single shit at all.
I feel like he's just going to show up in a Hawaiian shirt one day and manage.
Renicky wants this season to be over as fast as possible. Like, he just wants to put into overdrive and just tank to the end.
Not alone.
He should fill a water bottle up with like whiskey or something to get him through the games.
It's like some bad news Bears shit.
Like Buttermaker.
So, Baseball Reference simulated Ryan Weber's stats for the whole year this year. If it panned out as it has, he would go 2-7 with an
2 wins
with an 8.49 ERA. That's not good. Now riddle me this: they have him pitching a shutout, like a complete game shutout. If Ryan Weber pitches a complete game shutout, I think you would. I don't even know. It's so impossible that my brain can't even fathom the possibility of it happening. Like, I'm trying to think of something I would do if that happened, but like my brain's just saying that's not going to happen. But
you'd have to get a jersey.
Yeah, I would at that point, like a jersey, yeah, of Ryan Weber.
Legit.
Ryan Weber tattoo.
Guaranteed. Even if you count his family, I'd be the only person with a Ryan Weber jersey. But the 8.49 ERA is not surprising. I think that might actually be a possibility.
Never say never.
Ryan Weber, man, he is a human waving the white flag. Like, when you send him out on the mound, like, you might as well just say, like, you know what? Like, you see Ryan Weber and you're just like, oh, okay, well, that's a dub. Yeah.
No, he's past the white flag. He's so far beyond that.
He's
like when you go to the home run derby and they bring in some guy to throw you meatballs. That's him. He's the guy that people pick to throw him pitches to hit the home run, to hit the goal balls over the fence.
That's pretty disrespectful to those guys, because those guys might actually be able to throw a pitch.
They actually have some accuracy.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah. Ryan Weber, yeah, he sucks. So he's our ace. That's a good start, but we need a good number 2 pitcher. And our number 2 pitcher is Brad Penny, who went 7-8 for the Red Sox in 2009. Did not pitch a full season with them. He had a 5.61 ERA in 131 2/3 innings pitched. Gave up 82 runs, 17 home runs, and only struck out 89 people. Brad Penny, way past his prime for the Red Sox, even though he was an all-star 2 years earlier for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He looked like he was utterly lost on the mound for the Red Sox.
Yeah, I never understood why Brad Penny was that bad. That's another one that was unexplainable. He came to us, and it was just like a disgrace to humanity. I don't know. Not a big fan of Brad Penny's 10 years as a Red Sox. I like this pick as our number 2 starter for the worst team possible.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, he was on the only Brad Penny start I remember, I believe, was, do you remember that weird, like, 5-game series they played against the Yankees, and they lost every game?
Nope.
Okay, maybe that was
what year is this?
It actually might have been 2012. Maybe that wasn't 2009. Because
I don't remember anything about this guy.
I mix up Brad Penny and Eric Bedard all the time for whatever reason.
Yeah, Eric Bedard was terrible.
But he also sucked.
He was good on MVP.
Eric Bedard, I believe, got pulled from a perfect game. He was like 7 innings into a perfect game, and the manager was like, "You want to come out?" And he's like, "Yeah, totally." I'm like, dude, there have been like 23 of those. Why wouldn't you just stay in?
Gotta love the desire to compete.
Yeah.
For real.
Can't teach that type of stuff.
So Brad Penny, by the way, when they dealt him to the Giants, he proceeded to go 4-1 with a 2.59 ERA that year. So he apparently just needed the change of pace after his half a season in Boston. But there were signs of it because in 2008 he had a 6.27 ERA for the Dodgers. He only went 6-9. So that should have been a sign that maybe things weren't going so hot. And then the Red Sox were like, "Fuck that! We're gonna sign him and make him a generally high pitcher for us." And he was not good at all for the Red Sox. And I think he deserves his spot in this rotation.
Yeah, he sucks.
What was the ERA with the Red Sox? Wasn't it like 5.2?
Overall, it was 5.61.
Yeah, I mean that's almost 6. Like that's such a bad ERA. I mean, if anything, think about it. Like a quality start is not that hard in the majors. It's 6 innings and 3 runs, which is a 4.5 ERA. He's over a full run above that. That's insanely bad. That's meatballs. Why don't we just put it on the tee?
Yeah, it's bad, man. The guy was 3rd in Cy Young voting 2 years before he signed with the Red Sox. So they must have signed him thinking 2008 was an aberration. And like, all right, he's going to get back to all-star level. He's going to be good for us. He was back-to-back all-stars in 06, 07. He's going to be good. We're going to get him back. We'll work with him. And sure enough, that failed because he was a shell of himself. And he was decent for the Giants. He had a decent little run with the Cardinals in 2010. And then he just blew up with the Tigers, and he really was out of the league pretty much by that point after that. He was a reliever with the Giants in 2012. He might have got a ring out of that, actually, now that I think about it. But good for him. On
far more teams than I would have ever guessed. Holy crap.
Florida, Dodgers, Boston, San Fran, St. Louis, Detroit, San Fran again, then back to Miami where he finished out his career with a bit of a flame out there. Only 2-1, 6.58 ERA, very, very bad numbers. But pitched almost 2,000 innings in his career. Pretty wild stuff. But Brad Penny, our number 2 pitcher. Speaking of one aging pitcher to another, you have a guy who played the first 20 years of his career with a team, and then the Red Sox said, "You know what? We could use this guy." So that would be John Smoltz. So John Smoltz is our number 3 starter. He did not really pitch that many games for the Red Sox, and for good reason. He pitched 8 games, started 8 games, went 2-5 with an 8.33 ERA in 40 innings with the Red Sox. My God, that's bad.
I don't know why I expected so much from John Smoltz. I remember I remember us getting him and me being excited, and I knew like full well that he was past his prime. But I was like, "Yo, some John Smoltz stars might be fun." And I remember him pitching in New York. I remember watching the game, and it was like watching a man fear for his life. It was so scary. I'm like, just get this guy off the mound now. He cannot pitch any longer. And then after he retired, so
signing a 42-year-old pitcher, hoping that he can still have that all-star level of performance. And again, like Brad Penny, he was an all-star 2 years before the Red Sox signed him. In 2007, he was an all-star when he was 40. And then the Red Sox were like, yeah, we can get that magic back when he's 42. And that shockingly did not work.
He was 42.
42 when the Red Sox signed him.
That's incredible.
Bad. Any fond memories of the John Smoltz years, boys? Half year.
You remember it, Oliver, at all?
Blocked this guy out too.
He sucked, dude. He definitely earns a spot on this list because he was brutal for the Red Sox in the limited appearances he had. 8 starts. He averaged 5 starts a game. It's abysmal. The guy pitched 205 innings 2 years before that, and he could barely get on the mound for the Red Sox. It's disgusting. All right, so he was our 3rd starter. Moving on to our 4th starter, a guy who did not play as many games as John Smoltz in Major League Baseball, would be Henry Owens. the prized pitching prospect, Henry Owens, who amounted to jack shit for the Red Sox.
Poor Hank.
Dude, Hank Owens. Yo, shout out to Gilly. One time, him and I were chilling. We went to a Paw Sox game, like one random ass night, and we were talking about whatever. We're walking around the stadium. Hank Owens was pitching, right? Got some food.
Hank Owens.
Yeah, our buddy Hank.
Big Hank.
Hank Owens.
Dude, this guy, Henry Owens, had the longest legs and arms I've ever seen. Like,
Dude.
And he used it to throw 86.
Yo, this game, though, Hank was throwing a perfect game through 8 innings at the Paw Sox. We're like, dude, holy shit. We looked up at the scoreboard. It was a friggin' 0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0. Guy had a perfect game going, and then he got it. Like someone got a hit off him. But,
he was the number 19th prospect in baseball for MLB in pre-2015.
Because he was dominant in the minors. He struck out like 14 guys per 9 innings, and he like no hit a bunch of people through 6 innings.
You know what? You know how little of an impact Henry Owens made in Major League Baseball? When you type in Henry Owens stats, the first thing that comes up are his minor league numbers.
But I mean, part of it is that his whole thing was deception in the minors. Because, like, he could pitch and he hit the ball well, and then the majors, like, they're just good enough to like pick up tells, and they're better than the minor league guys. Like AAA is great to beat guys that couldn't make the bench on the majors, but like once you get to the majors, they're just gonna shell you. You throw 86 miles an hour, you miss your spot. They don't need to know if it's a fastball or not. They'll still hit it.
Henry Owens in 2020 actually has some stats, believe it or not. He is pitching in the independent for the Lightning Sloths. Yep, he has
That's like a weird name.
So the good news for him is that he has pitched in 3 games this year. He's gone 3 2/3 innings. That's good. He's still in baseball. That's the good news. The bad news is his ERA is 22.09.
Not good, actually.
Not good. He's allowed 9 earned runs in 3 innings. 3 2/3 innings, which looking at the stats here, Baseball America says that is not good. Not good at all. In the majors, his numbers were 4-6 with a 5.19 ERA. He only started 16 games. 85 innings, 71 strikeouts, a whip of 1.52. Just not what they thought he was going to be. Not what that's a big old bust.
He was the center of like a lot of trade rumors, right? Like Cliff Lee, I think, Cole Hamels, all these guys.
Yeah. Him and Blake Swihart.
Yeah, who should be an honorable mention, by the way. I don't know if he is or not. I think
Blake Swihart, I believe might be our. I don't know if he actually did get an honorable mention. I think he's just off the board, unfortunately.
Because I'm a big of a Blake Swihart guy as a come, but man, he just couldn't stay healthy. He was misused, and then when he did get an opportunity, he was just so bad.
I don't know. I've never heard of whatever Bo Sox injection is. It must be a blog. But
dude, doesn't Cushman write for them?
I think so.
But February 18th, 2015, Red Sox Henry Owens, too valuable to trade.
Sounds like a Cushman headline.
Let's look it up. Let's see.
Right too.
Who wrote it? Oh, written by somebody named Brandon Nickel. It's a fan-sided site. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. So he was in the rumors for
garbage.
He was in the rumors for Cole Hamels.
Right. And I think Bogarts was too. It might not have been Swihart. Might have been Bogarts at the time with him.
Damn, he was in Pawtucket. He was 6 games, 3-1 record, 44 strikeouts, 12 walks. That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there.
AAA Hall of Fame.
What was it?
AAA Hall of Fame.
Henry Owens is not a Cole Hamels. Few pitchers are, but the bigger picture is that Owens is a luxury that few teams have. A young pitcher who is coachable, confident, and seems primed to take the next step.
I mean, in hindsight, obviously, that's not great, right? But at the time, I was a huge Hank guy.
Oh, no offense to Mr. Nickel. I'm sure I'm sure that everybody's had bad takes, but you got to listen to this. Can the Red Sox hold out until then, until Owens is a viable starter? If they can, they might have the next Randy Johnson waiting in the wings.
Wow.
Tall lefty with long hair. I don't hate the comparison.
I mean, that's pretty much the only comparison.
The only difference I can think of, and this is the only one, is that Randy Johnson threw 98 and Henry Owens threw 86. But other than that, it's the exact same.
Other than that, it's like looking in a mirror.
Same
I
thing.
will say, I'm sure Mr. Nichols not the first person or last person that wrote about that. Rob Bradford's one of the people he links to in this story. So, no disrespect to him. It's just the fact that everybody at the time was thinking that, like you guys said, that he was, one of the top prospects, and everybody was fawning over him. And he was in trade rumors, like the Red Sox are wont to do. They have big trade rumors with big prospects, and until Dombrowski came along, they really didn't make any of them. But yeah, so Henry Owens, number 4. And number 5, rounding out the rotation, the aforementioned Aaron Cook. Dave, he was your number 1 ranked starter.
He was the worst pitcher I've seen. Like, he was a sinker baller, and he came in and just got lit up every time with the Red Sox. How many years in a row did the Red Sox sign like these reclamation guys, and like none of them worked out? Like we have like a bunch on this list already. We have Brad Penny, John Smoltz, we have Aaron Cook, we have Ryan Dempster. Like, there's so many of these guys that we bring
Ryan Dempster's name out of your mouth.
There's so many of these guys they bring in, and they're just absolute flaming garbage. Like, you'd be better off just getting a pitching machine and putting it out there. I mean,
Ollie, I told this story last night off the air on the podcast, but I was saying to Steve, Dave, and Sean that when Dave and I still had the radio show, I made him a bet before the 2014 season started that Ryan Dempster would have more wins than Hiroki Kuroda, and then Ryan Dempster retired.
Well, how did Hiroki Kuroda do?
Probably better than that. He probably at least won a game. That'd be my bet. But Aaron Cook, here's a fun fact for you. Aaron Cook was an all-star in 2008, his only all-star year. He led the league, giving up 236 hits.
Shit.
he pitched the contact. He was a sinker baller.
He went 16-9, had a 3.96 ERA, which, considering it's Colorado, and that's not terrible. So with the Red Sox, he was 33, not young, but not like, John Smoltz age when he came over here. He went 4-11, had a 5.65 ERA, not good. Didn't pitch 100 innings, and gave up 15 homers.
He went 4-11 and didn't even get to 100 innings.
No, he started 18 games. That was 94 innings. So that is what? That's less than 5 innings to start.
That's
pretty bad.
I don't even remember him on the right. He's another guy. I just literally don't remember pitching. It was a single game.
I know he was.
What year was on the Red Sox?
What, Dave?
What year was this on the Red Sox?
I'll give you one guess. It was
11?
2012.
11, 12, whatever. They all blend together.
He was on the
That was
2012
last year.
I don't remember that at all. This guy, I don't remember Aaron Cook pitching a single game for the Red Sox.
Yep, he pretty bad. His career ERA is 4.60, which I know he played Colorado his almost entire career, but I mean, just looking back, he was really the only person in that rotation who wasn't a household name for the Red Sox. Like, they had Lester, Buchholz, Beckett, Daisuke pitched some games very poorly. Felix Dubron, who I thought was at some point going to pop and be a great player, never did. But yeah, Aaron Cook, by far the worst mainstay of that rotation that year, and that says something because 2012 was dog shit for the Red Sox. So we get into relievers. This is the last category here before we wrap up. We'll start with the guy that got the most points by 1. He edged out our second place reliever for top terrible reliever on the Red Sox in the past 25 or so years.
What an honor.
What was it?
Said what an honor.
An honor is right. And he accomplished it in such little time too, Oliver, because it was only around for like half a season. Would be Eric Gagne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric Gagne sucked, man. And I feel less like I was like, he really didn't play that much for them. But then I'm like, well, he did use steroids. So yeah, that also
He wasn't that far removed from his Cy Young either, was he?
I'm going to look up his numbers now, but I don't think he was that far removed, no. And the Red Sox got him, and it was like, okay, well, I don't know what you really need him for because, what did they get him, a setup guy? What was the point?
Yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't that when they were that was what? When they were in between Folk and Papelbon, right? Or
it was,
Papelbon on the team?
It was Papelbon's first major, year as a closer.
Oh, maybe
He was there for setup. I remember that. I remember that being a thing where I was like, all right, Gagne will be the setup guy, all this shit. Then he couldn't even retire a single Orioles player at the time.
So he was 4 years removed from his Cy Young, but he was 3 years removed from his last All-Star appearance. He was fine in LA in 2005. 2006, he was hurt, it looks like. He didn't really pitch. I guess also in 2005. So it really wasn't. It might have been more of like a let's see what else he has left in the tank. And surprise, he didn't have really anything left in the tank. He was with Texas. He had a 2.16 ERA for them. He was pitching pretty well.
I remember that.
And the Red Sox got him, and he just shit the bed. He pitched 18 2/3 innings and gave up 14 runs for the Red Sox. That's not good. That would be why his ERA was 6.75. His WHIP was almost 2.
That's just impressive, honestly.
His WHIP was 1.88. That's insane. Like
Impressive.
Possible.
Oh my god, dude, that's just insane. He didn't. I know he wasn't there to be a closer, but he didn't save a single game. That was the first time he had done that since 2001. Even the years he was hurt, he saved some games. But yeah, he only appeared in 20 games for the Red Sox, and he probably got a ring.
Yeah.
Just for being there and being terrible. And then he went to Milwaukee in 2008, and he was out of the league.
I don't remember Milwaukee at all. How about that?
He was terrible there, so that would probably be why I don't remember.
I didn't even realize this was 2007 that he was on the team.
Yeah, I forgot it was that year. I thought he was on the year like 2006 or like one of the years they didn't win the World Series, but sure enough, he was. So also on our little our bullpen here, a guy who also didn't perform too well for the Red Sox and probably one of the worst trades Dave Dombrowski made when he was in charge of Boston, and that would be Tyler Thornburg. Yeah. Tyler Thornburg, I believe they traded for him in 2017, and then he missed the entire season, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he'd shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
Was it 2017? So
Yeah,
like going into 2017?
Yes. So he missed the entire season that year. So the good news, when they got him back, he went 2-0 in 2018. Bad news is his ERA was 5.63. He pitched 24 innings, gave up 15 runs, 6 homers, 10 walks. He was, and then in 2019, the last year he was with us. I can't believe he was even on the team last year, quite frankly. He has 7.71 ERA, and he gave up 16 runs in 18 2/3 innings. So really, no matter how you slice it, he was terrible. He sucked.
Yeah.
He sucked.
He seemed like a good guy too, like on social media. I wanted to root for him, but the play didn't add up. He was constantly hurt when he did pitch. He sucked. Tyler Thornburg, massive disappointment, and I never trusted him to really any games.
I hate Tyler Thornburg. He was so bad. He in 3 years he'd shoulder surgery the first year. He threw 42 2/3 innings in 4 years for a guy who's supposed to be like one of the best relievers on our team. His FIP, which is like predictive ERA with taking account of defense and pitching and everything, was 6.04 and 5.41 in the 2 years he pitched games. Like, do you know how bad you have to be? Like, and we keep hearing every year. We kept hearing Dave Dombrowski be like, "Well, Thornburg, we're expecting him to come back." It's like, oh, cool, yeah. I'm expecting Ted Williams to come back too and hit a couple home runs tomorrow. Like, we can all be positive about stuff, but it's not going to happen.
It was the 2018 deadline, right? When he was like, "Oh, we're going to get Tyler Thornburg and Carson Smith back." So they're pretty much like our deadline additions. And I'm like, dude, you are delusional.
Yeah.
Is there anything worse than when a GM goes, "Yeah, no, our deadline additions are the people that are hurt. We're bringing those guys back." And it's like, all right, the first time someone said that was like revolutionary, like 35 years ago. And ever since then, everyone just keeps copying them and no one likes it.
Luckily, they got away with that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, I still think that Travis Shaw gave the Brewers, like you guys said on the podcast, he gave the Brewers more than Tyler Thornburg gave the Red Sox.
Infinitely better.
Yeah.
Infinitely.
Yeah.
230 home run seasons, right? Or something close to that.
He showed up to the ballpark and didn't ruin the game for the team. So yeah, he's better.
Dave has a point there. All right. So a guy who I think made most of our lists, we'll close it down. And we have two setup guys, or one setup guy and 2 closers in our bullpen. So I don't know who's going to be our middle reliever, but
This guy is.
this guy is, yes.
Sure.
So our other guy is Mark Melancon. Mark Melancon came to the Red Sox, and if you couldn't guess a theme here, 2012, terrible year for the Red Sox because he was here for that. He was 27. He went 0-2. He saved 1 game. That's a singular one game for the Red Sox. He had a 6.20 ERA. He gave up 31 runs in 45 innings.
Wow.
The thing I remember most about Mark Melanson is I think he lit up the longest home run to an opponent I've ever seen.
Who was it?
I think it was Harper, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Hold on. It was someone that it's probably on YouTube. It was someone that was either on starting 9 or section 10, and Rob has brought it up to Mark Melanson and was like, "You've let up the longest home run I've ever seen."
I just know Melanson was he was shit for us, and then he immediately becomes good when he was gone.
Yeah, on the Pirates, he was just like a stud.
Yeah.
The only good thing about Mark Melanson was the fact that they got Brock Holt in exchange for him. But yeah, Melanson had 3 of the next 4 seasons he was an All-Star. He saved 51 games in 2015 and was top 10 in the Cy Young voting. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that trade worked out for both teams, the Melanson for Holt straight up. Because Brock also became an All-Star for the Red Sox one year. And he was, one of the most beloved players for them. And Melanson's still in the league. He's with the Braves right now, and he's actually not pitching that poorly. So maybe it was just a one-off for him in the Red Sox, but it clearly did not work out.
Right.
Wasn't he the guy that wore the scuba suit and swam with sharks? Wasn't that him?
I do not remember that.
Well,
Damn,
I
dude.
thought
Mark. Yeah.
I thought he, like, before the spring training, he came with the Red Sox. I thought he, like, went into a tank and swam with, like, either devil rays or, like,
trying to kill himself?
sharks or something. Yeah. I don't know about that. I think it was safe, but
he swam freely with some great whites.
he got it. I don't think he was, like, bad other than the Red Sox. Like, he was really good with the Giants. He was really good with, I think it was, like, the Nationals. He was good with the Astros. Like, he's good on every team, but, like, with the Red Sox, it was, like, one of the worst relievers I've ever seen.
He has a career ERA of 2.84.
Yeah. Good. 199 saves, so his next save will be his 200th. Pretty good numbers.
Is he still a closer, though?
I don't know. He has 5 saves this year.
He must be, then. He pitched for the Giants, doesn't he? No, he got traded from the Giants
right now.
Yeah, he got traded from the Giants.
35 years old, still humming in the league, so good for him. But
he looks like Freddy Krueger. He looks kind of like Freddy Krueger.
Interesting. Don't know if I've ever considered that, but interesting.
I think you say it though, Dave. I can see it.
Yeah, Mark Melanson,
striped shirt, the weird hat, and the long nails. Yeah,
6.20 ERA for the Red Sox, and then after that, 1.39, 1.90, 2.23, 1.64. He had a bad year in 2017. He kind of rebounded after that, but yeah, Mark Melanson.
Oh, I think I know who it was. I think it was Josh Hamilton.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. That lines up with 2012 for sure. While you're looking that up, I'm gonna go quick through the second team. I'm just gonna read them off by position. The DH for the second team was Hanley Ramirez. The catcher was Ryan Hannigan. First base, Lars Anderson. Second base, Aaron Hill. Third base, Devin Marrero. Shortstop, Julio Lugo. The outfield was Brady Sizemore, Brent Lillibridge, and Darnell McDonald. The pitchers were Alan Webster, Justin Masterson, Julian Tavares, Wade Miley, and Jeff Supan. Relievers Carson Smith, Byung-Hyun Kim, and Mike Remlinger, and the manager was Ron Renicky. Our all-worst third team, the DH, this is a pretty brutal squad, everybody. The all-worst third team, DH Adam Hisdu, catcher Ryan Lavarnway, first base James Loney, second base Pedro Ciriaco, third base Garen Cicchini, shortstop Nick Green, outfield Willie Mopena, Jeremy Hermida, and Eric Patterson. Pitchers Matt Clement, Clay Buchholz, Wade Miller, David Wells, and Abe Alvarez. The relievers were Andrew Bailey, shout out Pat Light, and Craig Hansen, and the manager was John Farrell. So here's my last question to you guys. Looking at the all-worst first team, just the first team. Full 162 game season, how many games did this team win?
7. Also, this Josh Hamilton home run,
yeah,
it went about 15 to 20 rows over the bullpen.
Jesus.
That's what I remember Mark Melanson for in his Red Sox tenure.
So it was in Boston?
It was in Boston, yeah. So that, like, if that didn't reach the red seat, nothing ever will.
So
that thing was just destroyed.
Oliver says 7. Dave, how many games did this team win?
The first team or the second team?
First team. Just the first team.
The first team wins. Out of 162 with a shortened season. If it's 162, I'd say like 30 games.
30 games. Okay. Steve, how many games does the first team win?
You know what? I think they go on a hot streak. I'd say 60.
60. Oh my God.
I give them 60 out of 162.
I'll more or less split the difference. I think, well, actually, not really. I would say they're going to go. Try to do the math right in my head. I'm going to say 38 and 124 would be their final record.
I think the really bad Tigers team would smack them around. Mike Maroth would throw a complete game shutout.
Mike Maroth, the year he lost 21 games.
Yeah,
I just don't see how they have how they have a starter go more than like 5 innings. I don't know if they would have a quality start. I really don't.
Don't worry, they have Tyler Thornburg to throw in.
Hey, come on, Ryan Weber's their ace, bro.
I mean, maybe Aaron Cook can surprise you a couple times, but other than that,
hey, you know what? We never really saw much out of Henry Owens. Maybe Henry Owens surprises us a little bit this year.
Maybe he finds it. I don't. Yeah, I mean, who's gonna hit bombs?
27 years old, 28 years old.
Anybody gonna hit bombs? Like they'll probably hit 13 home runs as a team.
Can Bobby Valentine hit? Can we make him DH?
Now, if you bring in the second team, because I added Hanley as the outfielder because he was one of the worst outfielders I've ever seen, maybe the worst. But when he hit a bomb, it went 800 feet. So you put him on the first team, maybe I'm bumping my win total up to like 16. Maybe they double in wins with Hanley instead of Rusney.
See, the only thing about the second team is that like Wade Miley, I could actually see turning in a quality start like once.
Right. I
Even
agree.
Jeff Dupan, but like in that first one, like I would say if I predicted anybody to turn a quality start, I would actually say it's Brad Penny. I could see him throwing one good one, like getting hot one day and going like 7 and giving up 1 run or something. But the only issue is that nobody's hitting anything, so the team still loses 1-0. Because you got, I mean, who is batting cleanup for this team? Pablo?
Probably. Or Giambi.
Rusney? Like, who's batting cleanup?
Rusney bats leadoff.
Oh, no, Carl Crawford's got to be leadoff.
Oh, yeah.
Rusney is the best hitter other than Crawford.
I would say Crawford, then Castillo, then Giambi, then Sandoval. Oh, my God.
Wait. Why are we throwing Giambi like third? Giambi hit like 190.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Giambi.
Power,
Giambi
man.
You're going to put third, dude.
Dave, who is better? Alan Craig? He hit worse.
At least Giambi has a slim chance of going Yabo.
Mike Cameron had like 200 home runs in his career.
Who?
Mike Cameron.
And Mike Cameron was like 50 years old when he played for the Red Sox.
Jeremy Giambi was like a slob, and he couldn't hit his way out of a paper bag.
Mike Cameron hit 278 home runs. Let's relax a little bit.
How many Jeremy Giambi hit?
Jeremy Giambi? Hold on, wait.
65.
I got you. Hold on. Jeremy Giambi. I have his stats up already.
Over under 150.
Under
Over,
150. By like at least 100 home
I say
runs.
60.
I'd say like
God.
20.
All right, yeah. A little impromptu closest without going over here. Jeremy
I'd
Giambi.
say 20.
All right, Dave says 20. Oliver, what do you say?
I already looked.
60.
Oh, it's a damn shame. The answer is 52.
There you go.
Wow.
But Jeremy Giambi almost has as many career RBIs as Mike Cameron had home runs, so that makes you think.
Cameron let off a lot, though.
What was Mike Cameron's career batting average? Because Jeremy Giambi, career 263 hitter. That's not
Cameron's was low because he struck out a lot. He was not an on-base guy.
And the argument begins to unravel for Mr. Albion.
I'm not going with Jeremy Giambi. He hit 192.
Jeremy Giambi stopped playing baseball at age 28. He was done.
Damn.
That's wild.
That's rough. That's rough.
Old me.
Why did he stop playing? Did he just was like, I'm done?
He sucked.
People realized he wasn't Jason, and they're like, all right, damn, we got to stop doing this.
I get that, but he was only 28, dude. That's wild.
Yep. But that's our first.
Giambi.
That's our first team. I'll read it one more time for anybody who joined later, whatever, forgot the team. So the all-worst first team of our lifetime for the Red Sox. DH is Rusney Castillo. Catchers AJ Przinsky. First base Alan Craig. Second base Nick Punto. Third base Pablo Sandoval. Shortstop Stephen Drew. Outfielders are Carl Crawford, Mike Cameron, and Jeremy Giambi. The starters are Ryan Weber, Brad Penny, John Smoltz, Henry Owens, and Aaron Cook. Relievers, Eric Gagne, Tyler Thornburg, and Mark Melanson. Our manager is Bobby Valentine. Thank you very much to our guests, Oliver, Steve. Oliver, where can we find you?
At O__Martel or at Small State Takes on Twitter. Both of those.
Speaking of which, Steve, where can we find you?
You can find me sharing that account at Small State Takes or at Stephen O. Scott.
If you see the little putting flag, that's Oliver. If you see the little Zen man, that is Steve. So that's the way you know. Dave, where can we find you?
At David_Albiani.
I am at Jacob_Morocco, the podcast, the CSL podcast on Twitter. That's where you can find us, find all of our episodes. You can tweet at us if you want. You can email us, crossingstatelinesPod@gmail.com. We are available. We're distributed by Anchor, available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all those fun places. So go check us out there, and we will be back with you guys next week. Let me just end the recording here, and you guys are all good to go.
All right, that was a good one.
All right. Thank you, guys. I will